Hello everybody, my name is Ragnon Mindbane, and this is my Path of Fire update for my open world PVE build. Again, I wanted to release this video because there's a lot of build videos for PvP and World versus World, SPVP, fractals and whatnot, but there's not very many videos for people that are newer to the game and they just want something that's gonna be a well-rounded, versatile build for just playing open world content. So this is my Path of Fire update for a Power Shatter version. I've really been having a blast with playing the Mirage. I feel like it's added a nice new flavor for Mesmer. And I've been doing it with the Power Shatter variant. I know that there's a lot of really powerful Condi builds out there. I'm going to be releasing a video later on once I get the gear for it and have a little bit more playing experience with it. But without any delay, let's go ahead and get started with our weapon set and gear layout. For this, I'm running very similar to my last video I released in 2016 of open world. I'm running full berserkers, and this is actually my fractal set. It's got agony on it. You can run whatever rune set you would like. I'm running Scholar for the increased damage. Traveler would also be a really good choice so that you don't have to run some of the utilities and weapon sets that I'm going to talk about in a second here. Really any rune set that you'd like. I like Scholar for the extra damage. And I haven't had an issue with survivability in this build. It's worked for me just fine. Also, full berserkers, trinkets. And for my weapons, I'm running Greatsword and then Sword Focus. You can choose to run Staff for your offhand for greater tagging power. I found that the Greatsword is plenty when you're running around doing like leather farms or Dragon Stand or just things that require a lot of tagging potential. I feel like the Greatsword is plenty and you're not going to switch out of it too much. You can run the Staff, but I found that bringing the Focus is really helpful since Mirage doesn't have an inherent speed boost like Chronomancer does. Okay, for my sigils, you can run whatever sigils you like. Mine are probably not that optimal, but I found that running Bloodlust is very nice for open world. You're going to be killing a lot of stuff, not going down too much, and you're getting a lot of tagging power with the Great Sword, so Bloodlust is a must-have. And then I like Air. This is mostly for my other game types, like roaming and stuff for World versus World, but I like the crit chance, doing a lightning strike when I'm doing burst combos and stuff with the Mirror Blade. And then for my offhand set, I've got just a Berserker Sword with Force. That's mostly for my fractals, doing increased damage all the time. And then right now I'm just running Strength. This is kind of a filler weapon since I haven't used my Focus as much, but you can run whatever sigil you'd like to on there. I just like it for the extra might when you're auto-attacking. And then let's go over the traits. So for the traits, I'm running a pretty standard power layout. You've got Domination, Dueling, and now Mirage. This would have been either Chronomancer or Illusions, depending on what you were playing before. For Domination, I've got some things that increase my Phantasms. I'm looking to get the most out of my auto attacks and my Phantasmal Berserker that I can. So that's the reason I chose the traits I did. For my first one, I've got Illusions deal more damage. Your other choices were a Stun, which is great for PvP. I'll release a PvP build later. And Shatter inflicts vulnerability. There's so many other people that you're going to be playing with that can stack vulnerability well. I really want to get damage out of my Berserker. For the next trait, this is really just an open one. There's not really any good ones here for what we're doing. If you choose to bring a different heal or you find yourself using Signet of Inspiration a lot for some reason, you can go ahead and bring this middle one. I went ahead and brought removes a boon on hit. Quickness would also be a good choice. Really anyone here, doesn't matter. And then for the Grandmaster trait, there are two decent choices here. The one I chose that I feel like is the best for using Greatsword is obviously Imagine Burden. That is because you get the 20% recharge on skills, and since you're going to be staying mostly on this weapon set, that brings your Berserker down to 16-second recharge, which is awesome. You also get 2 might on every auto attack, and then you get a little bit of cripple from your other great sword skills, so that's pretty handy. You really want the reduced recharge, though, for the Berserker. We're going to be talking about the attack pattern that you're going to be doing later. In dueling, I've grabbed Phantasms of Fury. That's great. That means when your Berserker comes out, he's going to be doing 20% extra critical chance, which is awesome. This one, the middle one, I picked Evasive Mirror. You are doing a lot of evasions with Mirage now, since your dodges are Mirage Cloaks. And so every time you dodge, you gain a Mirage Cloak, which means you evade attacks. If you're not familiar with Mirage mechanics, I'm going to go ahead and hover over this skill here. And you can see the top section where it says Mirage Mirror. There are a lot of skills that generate a Mirage Cloak for you. And what a Mirage Cloak is about either 3/4 of a second or about a second of evasion. It does a little bit of damage. I don't think your dodge does that, but the evasion is the big thing. And you notice I'm not actually rolling. I'm going to do another video later about the benefits of Mirage and how it stands out as a different flavor from Chronomancer and Vanilla Mesmer, but that's not the focus of this video. So, long story short, you're doing a lot of evasions, and after you successfully evade, you're going to reflect for 2 seconds after that, which is really awesome. You can also, if you find yourself using the sword offhand a lot, you can go ahead and, or second weapon set a lot, you can go ahead and use this one. If you find yourself dying a lot and you're using a lot of shatters, you can use that. Any choice can be viable. And then for the Grandmaster, really you want Deceptive Evasion. You don't have Chrono Phantasma and all the other fun tricks that you get with Chronomancer and the Illusion trait line, so you need that extra clone generation power. So this is very handy. Your other options were doing a little bit of Blind and Confusion, and then dealing more damage. This is great for PvP, and I'll talk about that in my PvP video. For Mirage, you have a lot of choices, but the ones that I've found working best for me are this top one. Using a Deception skill will create a clone if you have any illusions active. Deceptions are the new utility skills for Mirage, and this Jaunt has a 3 charge that's a little 450 range teleport, and you can... Oh, that's weird. I guess it's because I'm standing up here. Oh, well, anyways. In a normal circumstance, you could teleport 450, and that will generate a clone from this trait if you have an illusion up. So you want to use that after you use one of your clone generation skills, or dodge, and then you can get the rest of your clones from deception skills, which is awesome. For the middle trait line, I went ahead and went with gain protection after Mirage Cloak ends. You get Mirage Cloak from, again, your dodges. So you'll see after I dodge, I'm going to get a little bit of protection. I'm going to go ahead and dodge. And boom, 2 seconds of protection. That's really nice. Also, you can get it from your heal. So that is a nice little extra bit of survivability. Other option that would be really good would be this top one. Anytime you use Distortion, the clones that are destroyed, or illusions that are destroyed by it, become Mirage Mirrors, which are this floating triangles that when you walk through it, they look like this. When you walk through it, it gives you a Mirage Cloak. And so this top trait means that every single one of your illusions that's destroyed by Distortion drops little Mirage Mirrors all over the ground, and you can walk through them one at a time and get Mirage Cloaks. So that is handy. Either of those are a good choice. And then finally, I really like this Grandmaster trait. When you gain Mirage Cloak, your illusions also gain it. That means once you're using this ambush skill for Greatsword, which we'll talk about in just a second here, your clones also, your Greatsword clones also shoot that out, and that's a lot of tagging power. Very nice. So very handy. Other options are dodging, break stuns, and remove conditions. That is a really good PvP trait, not as important for open world tagging. And then this one is more for Condi builds. It increases duration of Condis. For my utilities and heals and elite, I'm using False Oasis. You can use whatever heal you'd like here. I like False Oasis just simply because it's an extra Mirage Mirror, which means that I get essentially an extra dodge to spam my ambush skill. I'm bringing Mantra of Pain. This has been buffed recently since they removed the Mantra trait here. This has been buffed so that when you finish channeling, charging it, you get 8 stacks of might. How cool is that? So 8 stacks of might. And then also this is extra tagging power. It's 1200 range. When you use it, you inflict 904 damage-ish based on might, and it's a 240 radius tag on 5 targets and inflicts 5 vulnerability on foes whose skills aren't active. So this is a nice way just to instantly get tagging power anywhere within 1200 range. For my middle trait, I'm bringing Blink. This is just an obviously great skill to bring. It lets you get out of red circles of death and just lets you move faster in general. And I feel pretty naked, honestly, when I don't bring Blink with the build. I just like it so much. It's one of the reasons I love Mesmer, is for the 1200 range, break, stun, teleport. For this is an optional utility slot. I have chosen to bring Signet of Inspiration mainly because there is nowhere in this build that it provides swiftness. Chronomancer, for example, has Time Marches On. You always move 25% faster. This doesn't have that. It goes back to classic vanilla Mesmer, where you once again don't have any movement speed increase. So I'm bringing Signet of Inspiration, and then my offhand of Focus lets me get 100% swiftness. So I get 5 seconds from Signet of Inspiration, and then you can walk through this to give you an extra 12 seconds, and that ends up being, between the two, permanent swiftness, which is very nice. Also, you can throw down your curtain on the floor if you are wanting to get it a little extra swiftness. You can actually, in 5 seconds, I'll show you. But you can actually walk back and forth through it and get an extra second each time you touch it. So you can go ahead and throw it down and run back and forth through it, and this will give you an extra second each time you touch it. So you see right there, I'm up to 17 seconds. Whoop-de-doo. But it's very helpful because it is permanent even if you just run through it once. Another option is you can bring something that has more tagging power. You can bring mirror images for extra clone generation for shatters, which is very nice. If you're finding you're having difficulty mining or something like that without dying, you can switch out Decoy and grab Mass Invis. One I really like for tagging that's also Deception, which means it generates a clone, is Crystal Shards. This is a weird skill, but it does a decent amount of damage, 900 range. It's an area of effect, deals some damage, and generates a Mirage Cloak. Or, Mirage Mirror. So just a handy way. The Deception, again, when you cast it, you'll get an extra clone, does a bit of damage, and then you can have that Mirage Mirror if you walk through it. For the elite, I chose Jaunt. This is a very... It seems like a subtle elite, but it is very nice. It does a little bit of damage. That's not the main reason you want to bring it. It does a little bit of confusion. It does remove a condition, which for Mesmer, we'll take any form of condition removal that we can get. That's really nice. But the big thing is it is like a mini Blink. It has 450 range, so you can see that is the max range. That is not a very large range, but it does have 3 charges. So if you channel all 3 of those together, it's actually a longer Blink range than Blink is. But you can use this the same way that you would use Blink for like a Mirror Blade burst combo, or just any way that you'd use Blink. You can use Jaunt in a mini way. But the big use for this is it's a really nice way to get extra illusions up, extra clones. So you generate an illusion using one of your greatsword skills or a dodge, and then you can jaunt once or twice to get up a full set of clones, which is very, very nice. And it's on a little cooldown, 20-second recharge for a charge, so that is faster than Blink, so that is very nice. Now let's talk about why this build works. This build works because, I should have said this earlier in the video, ambush on greatsword is incredible. Let's look at the basic greatsword attack real quick. Basic greatsword attack is a decent amount of damage at over 900 range, so the further you are away, the more damage you do. It hits 3 targets. It also does pierce, so if you're attacking a target further back in a group, you'll go ahead and pierce and hit the other targets in front of them. And because of our Grandmaster trait, each time you attack, you get 2 might. Now, that's just 2 might for the full attack. It hits 3 times over its attack, but you still only get 2 might. Now let's look at Split Surge. Split Surge does a good amount more damage, and it does the same amount of damage no matter how far or close you are to the target. This is the amazing part. It splits and hits 3 targets, which means that it also pierces the targets in between. The tagging power of this is very good for Mesmer. I've had a lot of fun shooting this skill, and the part that I find incredible about this is it generates 2 might on each of the pulses of damage. So you see it does damage 3 times. So shooting 1 target, that's going to give you 6 might for 5 seconds. If it hits 3 targets, that is 18 might.
Your seas swirl like sand.
So that is awesome. It only lasts for 5 seconds, but it's a really good way to build up your might really quickly and then use a Phantasmal Berserker and just shred a target. It's really nice. And there's some uses for PvP too. I'll talk about that in my PvP video. So this is the main use of this build, is quickly stacking up might, getting a lot of tags. Your other skills you're going to use just like you would use a Greatsword in any other way. You're going to use Mirror Blade to bounce around, get some might, get some tagging power. If you're by yourself, you want to get close, so it bounces between you and the target, giving it all its 4 bounces. Mind Stab is a nice quarter-second cast tag that hits 5 targets. Phantasmal Berserker is awesome. I don't know how long ago, but they added a new animation to this. You actually throw out a Greatsword now, rather than just summoning it. So it does some piercing damage on the way as it flies out and then returns to you. And then also the Berserker does a ton of damage, and he whirls through and hits a bunch of targets. So very, very nice. And then you also have a nice illusionary wave for some CCs. Okay, let's talk about some variants that you can do on this build. Again, you can do any heal you'd like. Ether Feast would be a nice one. If you find yourself going against a single target, like you're going against a champion or something, you can go ahead and switch this out for Signet of the Ether, or Ether, and get out a bunch of Phantasmal Berserkers. Again, your offhand weapon set, if you don't like sword focus, you could switch this out. You can run sword, you can run sword pistol, you can run staff, you can even run axe, but it is a very Condi focused set. You have a lot of good clone generation power from your number 2. I haven't played around with it too much, so I can't really put my stamp of approval on it. But yeah. One other thing I forgot to mention is the sword ambush is also incredible. You'll notice it is a 600 range leap that inflicts quite a bit of damage, and then it also has a quarter-second daze, so it's a nice little CC. But you'll find that this will speed up your movement a lot. You can leap around with this. And so I actually use this with World versus World roaming, and since you don't have access to mounts in World versus World, the blink, the sword dodge, and then the constant swiftness from having your focus. Oops, I have a torch there apparently. There we go. Constant swiftness makes this really nice. So, and that is my open world PVE build. I found that, again, this helps so much with tagging power that Mesmer desperately needs. It's a lot of work to get tagging power compared to like a Staff Ellie or a Necromancer, but it can be done, and it's very rewarding to do so. I hope you have a lot of fun with this. Please like, comment, subscribe. I'd love to hear how this is working out for you. And if you have any questions, please, again, comment. I love to respond and help people out. If you have any problems or suggestions on how this build could be better, also please comment. I'd love to make improvements and release in another video. We'll catch you guys next time.